STEM Stories and Mr. Ewing. Today, we're going to work on a project that is super near and dear to my heart, and that's about seeing things from a very different perspective. And you might be thinking, Mr. Ewing, what do you mean by that? And, you know, if you think about what we learned about the Great Pacific Plastic Patch, that's a ton, literally a ton of trash. And what we're looking at is simply trash. But what other people see is actually things of beauty. Now, I had an amazing opportunity a few years ago to see an exhibit put together by washtheshore.org. It's art that is put together to save the sea, and it was at the National Zoo in Washington, D.C., and they literally take trash that has washed up along the beaches. They collect it up out of the beaches, and they figure out how to put it together, and they actually recreate sea life, just like this shark here, which is actually made of all kinds of pieces of debris and trash found along beaches. And they go and they collect it, and sadly enough there is enough for them to collect, which still hurts my heart, but they actually turn it into some pretty amazing sculptures. Kind of twofold. One, that beauty can be found in all kinds of materials, but also to bring awareness of this is all kinds of human trash that is washing up on our shores, that is dumped into our water, and to bring light to the fact that we need to do something about how we use our materials. Just going to show you some of the images. I love this polar bear. Here is a clownfish. And I love that the clownfish is actually swimming on top of waves of recycled bottles to look like water. Here's a tortoise. And all of this is materials that they have found washed up on the shore. And it blows my mind that there is so much of this. And I want us to really think about, the plastics that we use in our life. Do we really need it? Do we really need to buy a soda out of a bottle of water, even bottles of water, or soda out of a plastic bottle? We're starting to use reusable bottles and materials around our house. So here's my challenge to you. I want us to look around our house at the different materials that we have, and I'm pretty sure that we have some plastic bottles. I'm guilty of it. Plastic containers that we buy our food in at the grocery store, and even some of those plastic clamshells that we get food delivered in. And I want you to look at all these items and think about, what could I do with them instead of throwing them away? How could I turn them into something beautiful like Wash Ashore did for the National Zoo? We can start small, making a little, enclosed terrarium, a bird feeder. I think is a fantastic reuse of our materials. And then think about what the exhibit did at the National Zoo, where they turned trash into sea life. It can be something very simple, and I'll tell you a trick. If you're going to do some really cool sea life, plastic actually has a natural shine to it. If you paint from the inside of the bottle, it keeps this glossy look of the fish. Just kind of a trick if you're going to do that. So take all that trash and let's turn it into something very cool. There's endless ideas. And if you're really stuck for some ideas, search the internet. There are a ton of ideas out there, but I really want you to think of ways of turning stuff into something that comes out of your imagination. I love this wall of planters. When you first look at it, it's kind of this really cool sculptural thing, but then you realize that it's all these soda bottles repurposed to be wall planters. If you've got the room and you've got the space, build a boat. Do not take it out on the water unless you're with an adult. Remember, safety is always first. look at this fish. It just this blows my mind that people can look at, an ordinary object and create that. But I know that you can do the same. So if you want to go out there, create an imaginary sea life, I think that's great. But I'd really love for you to do some research, find your favorite sea life animal, creature out there, and actually work to recreate it. And remember, this is what I was showing you. If you paint on the inside of the plastic and then use that, it actually keeps a very glossy look to the finish and actually kind of brings it to life. And if you put these things in sun after you're done, it almost creates a stained glass effect. It's really cool, multi-purpose. And imagine the gifts that you could actually create for everybody in your family, your neighbors. Start I don't know, sell them, raise money to send to charities that are fighting global climate change and recycling efforts. So start a project with your family, and maybe have everybody in your building or your neighborhood start pitching in. So here's my question: what are you going to create to save our waters? Now remember, safety first. If you're using any kind of sharp objects, please let an adult do the cutting for you. Second, always have fun. And Mr. Ewing, would love to see some pictures. So here's your challenge. What are you going to do with an ordinary object, and how are you going to see it differently and create something beautiful that will recycle and help save our waters? Remember, if you can create something that is actually sea-based, a sea life, sea creature, I'd love to see it, but have some fun. Thanks a lot.